Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to Front Porch Conversations. We're here on the porch at the Copeland Community Center right near the river, and it's a beautiful day. I want to introduce you to our guest this morning, Joe Brooks. Joe, thank you for joining us this morning.
Howdy.
Howdy. So, I understand that you grew up in a big family. You want to tell us about your big family?
Six of us, 4 boys and 2 girls. I was the second from the youngest. I'm the youngest now. The younger ones are gone on, and I have now my older sisters and my older brother is left. 3 of us are done. 2 of us are done gone. 4 left.
Where were you born, Joe?
I was born in Oklahoma.
And I understand you've seen a lot of the country.
Lot. Been back and forth. Never very far north, but between Florida and California, back and forth. Back and forth. A lot of moving. Lots.
I understand in your early childhood you attended, how many schools do you think it was?
Well, by my best figure, trying to look back, it was 22. Because my father was a carpenter contractor. He, with his brothers, my uncles, they were, a team, a business. And wherever the next big money was, they finished what they were on and they moved. And we just moved and left wherever we were going. It might have went from Florida, central Florida coast, to Lake Tahoe once. That's pretty far. Mm-hmm. To work on when they had the Olympics out there. They went out there to build the Olympic Village and the ski lift and all that. That's a long time ago. That
is. I have heard children say that they didn't like changing schools growing up. What was your opinion?
I never had the experience of staying in building in a school, so I wouldn't have known what it was. My deal was always just the next place we were going to go, you'd get told how much you could take. They give you a box and say, we'll pack your clothes and bedclothes. You got this box to bring however much you can of your personal stuff. And of course the fishing tackle always went because we fed ourselves with that sometimes. And I just thought that was how it was, and I thought it was fun when I was young. I didn't know any different. It was fun.
What are some of your childhood memories, special memories?
A whole lot of fishing. I was traumatized by my uncles. I don't know what they did. I was too little to know. But I grew up afraid of cows. And in Oklahoma, you're fishing in farm ponds all the time. And I don't know why. I don't know what they teased me with when I was little. But when I was older, I got over it. Now, I helped my father raise cows. But boy, somehow they scared me. I had a bunch of cousins and uncles and things, and I think they had an effect on me somewhere back in then. But I loved to fish too much. It never stopped me.
Good. And do you like to do offshore fishing or all fishing?
I've done so many kinds of fishing. I was a commercial fisherman in the ocean out of Port Canaveral, when it was still legal to be, when I was a gill net man. I had several boats at one time, large to small, and I fished a lot of things. I did some snapper and grouper fishing too, a whole bunch.
I like grouper.
Yeah, they're good.
Do you tell our viewers who may not know what gill nets are?
A gill net is they've been made illegal now, except for very special things by permit. A gill net is there's things I won't tell you all the sophisticated stuff, but basically. It's the net forms a diamond like this, each mesh, and there's another diamond like that. They'll be made out of monofilament clear, so that when the fish sees that it doesn't look like anything, and you use the size according to the fish that you want to catch. Like a 3 1/4 stretch mesh, that's a mackerel net. So a Spanish mackerel, he's just the size his head goes in, it catches him around his gills like that, he can't back out, and you got him. A pompano is a bigger mesh, and a smaller fish is a smaller mesh, and that's just what a gill net is. Floats on the top, lead line on the bottom, and that clear webbing in between. He swims into it. You can pull it in the boat and take him out and take him to the fish house.
So how long would a gill net be?
I would, depending on what you're doing and the kind, probably the minimum I would fish with would be 600 yards, and the longest might be 3 nets of 600 yards each, and run them like set, go back and get that one, move it, and do like that there. a lot.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I guess the reason it was made illegal was it was
Overfished, they got bigger and bigger. I could give you all the details, but I won't. Basically, they went automated. They got airplane spotters where they had huge boats. Nothing like I had. My biggest boat was about 25 feet. And they had 60 and 80 footers, and they had airplane spotters, and the airplane can fly over and see that big black school of mackerel. And he says, go west, go east, turn loose, go this way, circle it all up, and they were just slaughtering them. Too much.
Well, I'm glad to know that we are now better educated on this topic.
Hey, stop me on the aisles. I'll talk to you about it anytime. I got
Okay.
stories.
And what's your favorite non-offshore fish to catch?
Ooh, in the freshwater? You know, I like any kind of panfish. I like speckled perch and brim. And catfish ain't so bad either. All of those are good.
Well, I'll talk to you about catfish another time.
Yeah. I'm a catch and cook guy, not a catch and release.
Joe, how old were you when you left home?
Ooh, well, see, that's another whole story, and it goes with the fishing industry. Because once I started having boats, you're gone all the time. Fishing's not like an office job. You know, you're gone. If the weather's not so bad, it blows you on the hill. You're gone fishing because you're losing money if you're not. If the weather's bad, you're still not at home because you're down working on the boat or mending nets or making new nets or something. You ain't at home. So I didn't move out on my own until I got older and started leaving the fishing business because I didn't need a place of my own. I either slept on the boat, lived on the boat, or I'd come home once in a while and get a nap and wash clothes and go again. I helped my parents. They were getting older. You know, I paid part of the rent. I brought them fish.
I bet you were popular when you came home.
I was popular with my kinfolks, with my visitors, with anybody that liked fish and shrimp and all that kind of stuff. They liked it when I came home, yes.
What else have you done in your career?
You know, I've gone through several. When I talk about it, sounds like I think I know everything, but I really don't. I only know about 3 or 4 things. When I saw the fishing industry was going to go, which I saw it early, I read the signs of overkill, what I told you about the big boats and greed. And my brother was a dental technician, Crown Bridge man, and I asked him to take me in and show me, and I became a denture man. He was the Crown and Bridge guy, and I was the denture and partial guy. And I did that for quite a few years while my children were small. And then later on, I couldn't get a job. When we moved to South Carolina, I couldn't get a job there doing that. So they put me in through college, 2-year college, and it was industrial electronics is what the course was. Mm-hmm. But I learned about computers there. So then I went into tech support mostly, phone and online tech support and that kind of thing. I ended up doing that for a good many years, tech support and customer service, and on the end was dispute mediation for a big online work company. So I've done several things.
And are you involved with computers today?
I left them behind so fast, and I was so glad. I don't even have a computer, and I got a phone that says, I got an iPad, and that kind of counts. But no, I've spent too many, that's work to me. I left that right where it was.
And then was there another career track?
Oh, I've done quite a few things. I also, for a while, when I first went to Arizona, I couldn't get a job in any of those fields, and out there, it's expensive to live. And you'd show up for a job interview, and there might be 200 or 300 people there in Phoenix, Arizona. Ooh, big place. And so I became a group home manager for developmentally disabled people, and I did that for several years, and I loved that job. But my physical disabilities were starting to show. It was hurting more and more, and I couldn't keep up, and you got to be able to keep up when you're doing that job. And I only got to do that a few years, but it was an excellent job. I really, really liked that.
And something that's really needed because
and it was
group homes.
I just really liked that job, and I liked my guys. I enjoyed them. but I couldn't. I wasn't physically able to keep it up as to finish my days of working.
I know that you mentioned your children. Would you tell us about your children?
Okay, I got 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. The boys are all, of course, they're all grown. And my daughter lives in Boulder, Colorado. My oldest boy, he is moving. His family of them is in 7, 10 or 11 kids. I can't remember. I'd have to count up. Really, they're living in a motorhome while they're deciding where they're going to live next. They moved from Arizona and they're looking for their next place that they're going to live, possibly up in the Midwest. And that must be quite a scene, that family in a motorhome.
Probably when you open the doors, it reminds you of...
It leaks kids, I'm sure. I mean, you ought to see them. There's a bunch of them. And my other son, he works in national parks. He lives in a motorhome, travels around, and he's been a snowboard instructor, worked in the ski shop, just whatever, in national parks. He does that kind of work, and he goes from Yellowstone to this or other, that one, depending on winter and summer, and that's his life. They're both Christian men, promise keepers, if you ever know what those are. They're promise keepers. My daughter's in Boulder. She got one child, one girl.
Let's talk about a hobby you've had for a long time, and that was sewing.
Oh, sewing. Well, I think I told you I skipped a generation, and my mother was a survival sewer and cook. She didn't love either one of them. My grandmother sewed, made quilts and sewed and all that kind of stuff. And I just learned from watching her. So when I got big enough to do it, I wanted to sew, and I taught myself. No one taught me. And I did it all by hand. I made quilts. I did the patches by tearing them, holding the cloth up there and tearing them approximately square. And I got several that I made. I've made a bunch of them and given them away. And then when I retired and came here, one of the first things I got was a sewing machine. And
up until that time, you'd never had one?
No, never, all by hand. But now I got 2, and I sew when I can. When the music lets me, I make hot pads for the village there.
That's one of the ways you're volunteering in the village.
Yes.
And for those who don't know, there's a big need for hot pads in all the different kitchens we have. And we've been fortunate throughout the years to have volunteers to do that. And I know Eleanor was thrilled when you arrived and said you could do that.
And they have several things you can do even if you don't sew, because they have people, they cut the squares and cut the batting up in squares. If they don't sew or can't sew or don't want to, they do that. And then they give me the pieces pre-cut or other people, and we make them into hot pads. It's fun.
Thanks
Good,
for
clean
doing that.
Fun.
And thanks for the advertisement for volunteers.
Oh, yeah. You should see Eleanor if you want to do something. Definitely. She'll find something.
And for those of you who don't know, that's Eleanor Katerius, our Director of Volunteer Coordinator Services.
She'll fix you up.
Yes, she will. And she's a great lady, too. Joe, what you mentioned to me earlier on was that you sewed for your daughter.
Oh, yeah, when she was little. When she was little, I don't think I still have the picture moving. I've lost it. I had a picture of her. First thing I made for her was she must have been, I don't think she was 3 or 4, just walking good. And I made her a long dress with long sleeves and ruffles and I did it all by hand. Figured out how to make buttonholes, and it had a bunch of those little buttons on it.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
You have more patience than I do.
And I had a picture of her. It probably exists somewhere in the world. Kind of hunkered. It was like a violet color with flowers on it. And she's sitting in a field of flowers like we have blooming now. I have white hair, white blonde hair. It was beautiful.
I bet. And I bet it was special to her because you made it.
Yep. I've made her a lot of stuff. And my granddaughter, I've made her some stuff too.
You talked about when the music lets you. Talk to us about your interest in music.
Well, I was always interested in music. I sang always. My father sang, and he played harmonica and sang. And I asked for a guitar the year we lived in Lake Tahoe. I was 14. And I got my first guitar when I was 14, like old Waylon Jennings, but I never got famous like him. And I've been playing since I was 14. Then I went to South Carolina, where there's 2 to 3 pickers behind every tree. And we go to a jam on a porch like this and be 15 or 20 guitar players, a few too many. And my brother and I, younger brother, decided we need to play something else, learn something else. In our 40s now, and he chose first, and he chose mandolin, and that only left for me fiddle and banjo. And I tried to fiddle, and we weren't friends. So I ordered a banjo, still have it, sight unseen. I just ordered it and determined to learn to play it, and I did.
And do I remember correctly, you did the entertainment at one of the birthday parties?
Did.
And what did you do there?
Oh, I sing various songs. Mostly, I did some funny songs, and that was Valentine's Day. I tried to do a couple of Valentine's Day songs, although that ain't my specialty, but I did it anyway, and I hope to get to do it again sometime. Do more gospel songs and just old country, and I like funny songs too.
I bet. And those are good for people to hear.
Yeah, we had a good time.
And do you play other instruments?
I play, let's see, at church I play banjo and guitar always. I carry those, but I also play dulcimer, and I've used that for special stuff at the church. I got an auto harp and a psaltery, if you know what a psaltery is. Psaltery is in the Bible. David, it's kind of like a harp, but it's small.
Oh, okay.
And it's like a small harp. It's so big. And I've used that one for special effects. And I've given away several instruments that I can't have room for them or keep strings. I played bass, and I played mandolin, pretty much anything with strings on it except a fiddle. No fiddles. No.
And not a violin either?
No, neither one of them.
I heard somebody say that a violin and a fiddle were the same thing. It was just the players that were different.
Yes, that could be. I wouldn't know a thing about a violin, that's for sure.
Joe, where do you attend church?
Pine Level Missionary Baptist Church. It's a little country church not very far away from here.
And you do all kind of things there besides play music.
I do music, cooking, and I make bread and other kinds of cooking. I made bread and greens for the Mother's Day. All men did all the stuff on Mother's Day. We did all the worship service and all that. And it was fun.
I called to see if you would be doing the Front Porch Conversation last week, and you said no, you were too busy making bread.
Yeah, I had to make bread on Friday, and then on Saturday morning we had the men's prayer breakfast, and I had to be there because I was the speaker. And then on Saturday afternoon I had to make greens, and then Sunday do all the stuff, So I was tied up.
Well, I'm glad we could get together today.
Yeah. Now I'm going to take a break.
Time for one, huh? When, how did you learn about the village?
Well, when I fell, when a place I was living, I fell and broke my hip and had to go shins, nursing home, rehab, all that. And then I went to this other place with assisted living, and I wanted out of there because it was just, I felt like I could live on my own. It was really hard to get out of there. They didn't want me out because they it was their income. And I heard about this place, read about it online. And then I called and I talked to Karen, and she said, well, come, you get someone to bring you here, come. And I came a couple times, and I applied and was accepted. In the process of months, I landed in Carter House.
And that's where you are in it today?
That's where I am now. You can find me there.
If you're not out doing something somewhere else.
It's true, too.
When you first saw the village, what appealed to you?
The whole idea. First, I liked the middle word in the name, which is Christian.
Right.
And I said, now that could very well work for me. And I didn't know anything about churches around here, but at least I knew it wasn't going to be a heathen place. And And the whole idea of getting out of that assisted living where I could have a house of my own and cook for myself and all that kind of thing and not be, told what to do and ushered around everywhere and put to bed every night and all that kind of stuff. That was very much appealing.
And when did you move here?
It'd been about 3 years. I'm not sure the exact date, but it was about that.
And when you were talking about the word Christian appeal to you,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about your faith and your faith journey.
Well, my parents were, my father's a deacon, my mother was a Sunday school teacher in a Southern Baptist church then. I was raised that way, always in church, always singing in church, and I was saved when I was 6. If y'all don't know what saved is, come see me, I'll talk to you about it. And I've just been in it all my life. And I didn't want to go live in a hidden place.
And you found a church nearby that you really liked, and that's great.
Yes. I visited around a little bit before I found that one, but yeah.
And you have, as we've talked about, you've done a lot of volunteer work at the village. What would you say to other people about if they haven't considered volunteer work?
There is always something to do. And there's such a wide range of things to do. I only know part of it. Talk to Eleanor, she knows all about it. But you pick up trash. You can do maintenance. People do all kind of things here. People help other people. There's so much you could do. There's something you could do, I guarantee, whoever you are.
And sometimes if you have something you'd like to do and suggest that to Eleanor, she'll find a way for you to do it.
That's right.
That's just like our front porch conversations. That's how we all got here. Was volunteering and working through something we wanted to see happen.
We're talking about, I keep talking about, people say you should have a concert. There's several other pickers around here. I'm not by any means the only one. Maybe sometime we'll be able to get that going and have a sing-along. That's what I want to do.
Oh, that would be fun.
I'm not sure where that's going to fit in time, but we'll figure it out.
And if you don't have a plan, it won't happen. If you don't start thinking about it.
We're working on that.
Good. What advice would you give a young person today?
Oh, anywhere or here?
Anywhere.
Anywhere. All right. Well, now I got to tell the truth, you understand. First, I'd say get right with the Lord. Get in a church because the times are pretty crazy. You're going to need some stability, and you're going to need some good teaching so you even know who you are and what you are. Because right now, it's okay to not know. I'd be wandering and wicked. We don't want that. So I would say get right with that, and then think carefully about what you're going to do and be ready to be flexible, because life will lead you down the road. I've had to change so many times what I was doing and be ready, especially if you think you're going to get married and have a few kids and stuff like that. You'll learn.
But you'll have a good guide if you're a Christian.
Sure.
That's right. What would you like to share with our viewers that we haven't talked about today?
Oh my, I couldn't overemphasize too much. The volunteer program's been doing something. If there's anything that I could say I don't like to see, it's people that are just spend the time doing nothing. And you see people that are down. Busy people aren't down because they're too busy to be down. And if you're sadful and sitting there and remembering the days that aren't anymore and whatnot, there's a cure for that. Would you get up and do something? That's what I recommend. Even if I'm mobility limited. I got a cart out there that I have to haul myself around on, even if you're in a wheelchair. I was in a wheelchair a couple of years, so I know you can keep doing. I'd say do something. That's my advice.
Well, I have a question for us. Will you sing us a verse or two of one of your favorite songs?
Oh, a verse or two. Which one? Which one would it be? I'll tell you what I'll do. Because there's a lady that moved in not too long ago. She's got one of my guitars, and she said she used to want to play, and she doesn't know how to play, and she doesn't know the chords. So I showed her a chord. I showed her how to do a C chord. And I said, I know you know Amazing Grace, so you don't have to know the more chords. This is how you're going to sing Amazing Grace with one chord, okay? Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. All one chord and never came off the C chord.
And you chose my favorite song. Thank you.
That's
My
a lot
favorite
of
hymn.
people's favorite song. It's a good song.
It is.
It never fails.
All 5 or 6 verses.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
and then you got to do the last verse. Everyone now does praise God. And if you don't end with praise God, then they'll request it. You have to add it on now.
Well, you said you had a special greeting you wanted to give to somebody.
Oh, to the end.
Yes, I
Yes,
think we've
yes.
reached.
Karen Thomas. She established me in my beautiful white-walled 5th-story Riverview apartment house, and I was so tickled. And after she got me there, piles of stuff all around me, she getting ready to leave. And she pointed her finger at me like this, and she said, "Don't be a recluse." So that's what I say, don't be a recluse. Find something to do, get out and about, talk to Eleanor, she'll fix you up. That's my best
And for
advice.
those who don't know, Karen Thomas was our director of residency services, and she is trying retirement, at
Yes.
least for the summer.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in today to Front Porch Conversations. Look forward to seeing you in the future.